baseboards and 2 feet of their drywall. Now, the couple told me that parts of their basement got up to 8 inches of rainwater and sewage Friday, and it's not the first time this has happened.
I'm very frustrated. I'm not happy at all. Our house stinks. So much of our stuff is ruined. So yeah, it's not a good situation. I don't want to blame everything on the township, but I've put in backflow valve, good backflow valve. I put in battery backup. I've put in water backup. I've did everything I could to prevent this from happening, and it's still happening.
He estimates the damage will be about $30,000, and he's likely not the only one pricing out those repairs. The municipality of Lakeshore says it received more than 300 calls from concerned residents. Out at Tecumseh's Home Hardware, people emptied the plumbing section. As you can see there, the sub pumps, the backup pumps were completely gone, and that's after that store brought in extra supplies from its Essex location.
Yeah, a lot of them said like their basements were underwater. They were trying to get extra pumps in to get the water out, and then doing the best they can, you know, because a lot of them did have damage and they were going to lose a lot of things. We were makeshifting objects that we did have to help the customers in need.
Jen, what's the municipality going to do about all this?
Well, Chris, Lakeshore says that so much rain fell in such a short period of time, the stormwater system and the sanitary system got overwhelmed. The municipality says it added extra pumps to help. Even so, anything stormwater went into was flooded over. And then people's personal sub pumps and their backflow preventers that weren't working, that overwhelms the sanitary system. That is what your floor drains, your tubs, your toilets all drain into. And new subdivisions as well can add to this, as they may also drain into that sanitary system.
Under those high level or high intensity rainfalls, we do go out and administer additional pumps that aren't necessarily always required day to day, because we never expect or build infrastructure to accommodate that much stormwater. The sanitary backup and surcharging is because of the storms that we receive, but there's measures that we can take to mitigate that, and it takes everybody to do it together.
Now, Simpkins says, as we heard from him, that he did everything that he could, and he wants to see the municipality enhance their infrastructure. The city of Windsor also had 250 flooding calls, many from the downtown. For those not going through insurance, the city says you can call 311 to have your flood debris picked up. Collection will be tomorrow and Saturday. Tecumseh and Lakeshore also did additional garbage pickup days. That happened earlier today. Chris.
Thanks, Jen. CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa live tonight. Some plumbers and restoration companies are urging homeowners to stay clear of the sewer water that has flooded their basements.
It's not the greatest stuff to be walking around in with your bare feet and sandals and kids playing in it and touching your face. It's not recommended.
He says he's gone into houses where children were playing in the water. Well, it might look clear, riddled with toxins. He says bringing in professionals will ensure safety for everyone. And some homes and businesses in Wheatley have been evacuated once again. Chatham Kemp Fire tweeting this morning that there was a hydrogen sulfide detector activated on Erie Street North. A Windsor hazmat crew was called in late this morning. Last month, Wheatley was in a state of emergency after a leak of the highly flammable gas was detected in a building. Officials believed then that the gas may have been emanating from an abandoned well, but crews could not identify the source. In just a few weeks, fully vaccinated Americans can come visit Windsor, Essex once again. Federal officials say they are able to plan easing border restrictions thanks to millions here that are stepping up to get their shots. But there still might be some caveats and conditions to be met. And for many anxiously waiting to reunite with family members in Canada, the news, it comes as a big relief. Ashley Burke reports.
After 15 months locked down, Canada is opening its border back up to international travelers, starting with fully vaccinated Americans on August 9th.
This is based on emerging evidence from around the world that vaccination does provide a high degree of protection.
They'll need to show proof that they've received 2 doses of a Health Canada-approved vaccine 14 days before entering the country and have a negative pre-departure test, but no longer face a test upon arrival in Canada unless randomly selected.
We've been anxiously waiting.
For this fully vaccinated couple who live in New York State, it's a relief. They plan to drive across the border on day 1 of reopening to visit Canadian family and friends.
So this is freedom. Freedom.
Starting next month, Canada's also ending its controversial quarantine hotel program. and is allowing children under the age of 12 who are unvaccinated to no longer quarantine for 2 weeks.
We ask parents to avoid bringing their children, to not bring their children to areas where there's congregations of people, including schools and playgrounds and daycares.
As far as I'm concerned, those restrictions are a small price to pay to have the opportunity to come home in the midst of all of this.
Andrew Boggs lives in the UK. His 2-year-old son is unvaccinated. He says his son has only met his Canadian grandparents and relatives once because the quarantine rules prevented them from traveling to visit.
A relief. It's been so long, and especially for my little boy, so much of his engagement with his relatives is tactile, is being able to be with them and touch them, and not having that for so long. Sorry.
While Canada is opening up its border to vaccinated travelers around the world by September, the U.S. has not reciprocated with Canada. It's currently dealing with a Delta variant, and the White House says it's still reviewing travel restrictions. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
The White House press secretary was asked if Washington intends to reciprocate Canada's plan to open its borders to fully vaccinated visitors.
We are continuing to review our travel restrictions. Any decisions about reopening travel will be guided by our public health and medical experts. We take this incredibly seriously, but we look and are guided by our own medical experts, and not in a I wouldn't look at it through a reciprocal intention.
And it's that lack of intention that has Sarnia Mayor Mike Bradley concerned. He says, well, he's happy with today's reopening news. It would have made sense for both Canada and the U.S. to relax their restrictions at the same time.
And we're getting these constant warnings about, the variant and an increase in cases. So that's in the mix, and that's going to complicate this opening. And to what extent will it impact on our lives, on our communities, on our countries? I do say, again, I'm very disappointed that this wasn't done in tandem with the Americans, because even the reaction I'm getting now from the public is, well, why are we doing this when they're not doing the same thing? And that's a very fair question to ask. Well, I'd for months supported that there should be a plan, and a very clear plan. Also supported that if you had 2 shots, whether you be Canadian or American, you should be able to cross the border. The wrinkle today is this. Always expected when an announcement came down of what happened today, that it would be reciprocal. It would be matched on the American side. This does not deal with the important issue of family reunification. It is also open-ended on the American side. They could continue to close their border for another 4 to 6 months.
There's fewer places being rented in Windsor, with more people looking for a place to live. Renters and even some landlords say that the system needs to work better for everybody. Jacob Barker spoke with one man on low income who says he's out of options.
It's really difficult right now, trying to find something reasonable and affordable.
Adam Arsenault moved to Essex to be closer to his mother. Right now, he's renting from her. In a year of looking, he hasn't been able to find one spot that's affordable or suitable for his daughter when she stays with him.
They said it was $1,600 all included for a 2-bedroom apartment. Now, I make a decent amount here. I make about $950 each 2 weeks. And even for that, I can't afford $1,600 a month.
The next closest option he's seen is $1,400.
Very stressful. Like, I make a decent amount of money. If rent was how it was like 8 to 10 years ago, I'd be able to find a place and have money to save and be comfortable with.
For some, even with more means to make things happen, it can be difficult. Ronnie Sorto is moving to Windsor from St. Catharines for work.
It was so disappointing, I would say. I had high expectations, with these prices and sort of thing.
What he saw looked nothing like the pictures. Landlords asking for a lot of information, not just from him, but also from his guarantor.
They'd ask for their employment history and their proof of income.
He did manage to find a place to rent within 2 weeks and considers himself lucky.
I'm in a privileged position to have a good job coming up for me, and I'm just a solo, single guy.
Back in 2008, I might get one phone call a week for a place to rent. Now I get a crush of people calling.
Ryan Rayner says the province's system is broken and that there's a huge backlog of disputes in the courts.
If you take a chance on someone and they can't pay, then you've got the privilege as for paying their rent, right, for the duration of them being in there. So it can take a long time to evict a bad tenant.
Having survived leaner times in the market, He says he has mixed feelings about benefiting from this hot market.
You don't want it to feel like it's at the expense of people that can't find homes.
Jacob Barker, CBC News, Windsor.
Muslim community leaders in London have set out clear goals ahead of Thursday's National Summit on Islamophobia. They have 61 recommendations specifically targeting ways that the government can root out anti-Muslim bias within its own agencies.
The federal government needs to commit to fighting Islamophobia at the systemic level within government. Through looking at profiling at the CRA of Muslim-led charities, or how national security agencies have continued to profile Canadian Muslims and other racialized minorities while ignoring the threat and missing the threat in many ways of white supremacist groups, we call on the federal government today towards taking action on dismantling systemic Islamophobia within our institutions.
Community leaders also want timelines to ensure whatever commitments are made at Thursday's summit are carried out. The summit was announced after the hit-and-run attack last month in London that killed 4 members of a Muslim family. Windsor City Council is looking forward with a $200,000 anti-racism initiative. It'll be done in partnership with the Multicultural Council of Windsor-Essex. That funding will be used for educational videos, internships, and a speaker series. Some say this will help foster acceptance, but the Black Council of Windsor-Essex says this initiative doesn't go nearly far enough. It says it's been listed as a group consulted throughout the process, even though it was not.
We have yet to experience any meaningful engagement initiated by this municipal body or the mayor or anyone in the administration that would foster a working relationship enabling or inviting the Black community to have consequential issues addressed. Most conversations with members of the Black community have been superficial and controlled.
We never do anything as the Multicultural Council without having discussions or input from the community. We don't work in isolation. We are an umbrella organization, therefore we don't support one community group over another community group, so it's very broad, and we always work with the community at large, and we bring the community partners together, and I think that's what's been successful about the Multicultural Council, because we do collaboration. We don't work in isolation.
Mayor Drew Dilkens first got approval for the funds to be allocated within the 2021 budget after the global reckoning on racism that came after the killing of George Floyd. The City Council has approved 24 new buses for Transit Windsor. Now, those will replace the aging buses in the fleet sometime next year. The buses will cost $17 million, but the city will be able to leverage more than $12 million of that from federal and provincial infrastructure grants. In the town of Essex, as one councillor's pay suspension kicks in, another faces the same possibility in a separate instant. Now, at the ongoing council meeting, where the Integrity Commissioner will be presenting his report on Councillor Sherry Bondi, he says she violated the code of conduct by publicly criticizing ELK Energy and town staff. Now, if council agrees with the commissioner tonight, she will face 30 days without pay and more financial penalties if she continues to criticize staff. Meanwhile, Councillor Chris Vanderdolen has failed to meet the deadline of today set out for him by the Integrity Commissioner. He was investigated earlier this year for a tweet in which he referenced to COVID-19 or referred to COVID-19 as the Chinese flu, sparking widespread outrage. The commissioner asked him to delete the tweet and undergo diversity training. Well, neither the town nor the councillor have commented today on whether the training was done. That tweet in question remains online, which means he now gets 60 days without pay. And it's looking like a good year for corn at the stands in Windsor-Essex. Bit of a cool start, but you should expect to see cobs roadside into October, as long as Mother Nature cooperates. It's a true sign of summer in southwestern Ontario. Sweet corn for sale on a county road.
It's a good feeling. It's time to go to work.
Not something Don Malott shies away from, running this farm for more than 3 decades.
Oh, when I first started, I wasn't maybe 10 acres, and then now it's up to 40.
With the fields growing, he's been branching out beyond corn.
Well, we started out with a picnic table and corn, and then we progressed to the stand, and now we got the flower business and that. So it keeps us busy.
But back to the basics, the classic cob.
There's a yellow corn, which they call golden nugget, and the peaches and cream, which is probably 40 different types that I grow.
How's the year been so far?
It's been steady.
When's the best time to buy?
Well, as soon as I bring the stand out, people stop. And I don't bring it out until the corn is ready and we open, and then boom, away it goes.
And how does he know it's ready to roll out? After decades of experience, there's only one sure way.
Delicious. Well, I eat it raw out of the field.
You eat it raw out of the field?
Yeah. And if it tastes good raw, it's going to taste good cooked.
To make it taste great, place it in boiling water for 3 minutes. That should do it, but don't overcook it.
Basically, all you need to do is get it hot so the butter melts. This is our golden nugget we're going to pick for tomorrow.
And by picking, what do you mean? So are you taking machines out here, or?
Machine 1, machine 2.
As soon as we seen the stand, we were out.
Back at the stand, a satisfied customer coming here for 20 years.
Always great tasting produce, always the freshest, so we always support local when you can.
People do, gobbling up cobs by the thousands each day. When we see the cars roll up, how many of them are you seeing a day when they're pulling over on a typical Sunday, a good Sunday?
Good Sunday, probably 300 or 400. I can't keep track.
With one field left to plant, the latest he's ever gone in the year, the last stalks of fresh corn should sprout at just the right time.
That's the last planting. Comes up next week if it dries up. Hopefully, I should go to Thanksgiving.
Nothing like farm fresh corn to go with your turkey. We take a live look outside and you can see that smoky haze there. There is an alert, a special air quality statement out right now for Windsor, Essex. High levels of air pollution due to smoke from ongoing forest fires are possible. Conditions are expected to improve Tuesday with the passage of a cold front. For more on what we're looking at later on in this week, Colette Kennedy will join us with the forecast. The start of competition just days away at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Today, Team Canada revealed the flag bearers for Friday's opening ceremony.
Team sports represent unity and overcoming challenges together. It was a natural choice to choose leaders of teams to be our Team Canada leaders. Please welcome Team Canada's flag bearers for Tokyo 2020, Miranda Aim and Nathan Hirayama.
You could probably hear the woo in Chatham-Kent as well. Miranda Aim is with the women's basketball team born in Chatham-Kent. Now, Nathan Hirayama is the co-captain of the men's rugby sevens team. The rugby sevens team plays its first match on Sunday. The fourth-ranked women's basketball team, they play its first game next Monday. We welcome back Colette Kennedy to the team here. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of time off. You bring with you a weird sky out there, though, bud. It's looking funky.
Yes, and I missed you too.
We did miss you,
yes.
but we always miss you.
Oh, it's nice to be back. Yeah, we are seeing, there is smoke. It's really having an impact on our sunsets, even on how the moon looks at night. And that smoke is not the smoke from Western Canada and BC. It's from the forest fires, wildfires that are burning in northwestern Ontario. So a cold front will make its way through tomorrow, as it does by midweek. That'll kind of clear things up and help with the air quality as well. But yeah, that is smoke that we are getting from our own province and fires here. Daytime highs today, have a look. I know it was pretty muggy there, but the readings as well kind of go along with that, nearly 30 degrees. And this is our current temperature, still at 28. Factor in the humidity, and there's how it feels. So we still have that kind of feeling where we're in the mid-30s. We'll see that or feel that again tomorrow as well. Quieter tonight. A few isolated little cells possible towards the east. Saw one little one that popped up. Quieter, though, in terms of what we'll be seeing even into tomorrow morning. And then things will change into not just the afternoon, but later afternoon is how it's looking for southwestern Ontario. And I'll show you what I mean here. So here's 7 a.m., all right, stopped it here. Nothing to be concerned about. But then here we go towards the early evening, and you can see this kind of blow up as it passes through. Moves through pretty quickly, but again, that's just that lift that cold front is providing, and then causes not only showers, but some thunderstorms there too. Is there a severe risk? Yes, there's a minor to moderate risk. So something to watch for there. In terms of rainfall amounts, I'm seeing generally about 25 to 30 millimeters possible, and that would be in the areas where you get hit more. Elsewhere, it's not going to be as bad. And I know this is a concern to hear anything when we're talking about additional rain after some of the flooding concerns that have happened. All right, overnight tonight, your temperature is 17, 16 for London. Tomorrow, another very warm one. Those winds will pick up from the west. Once that front goes through, it kind of closes the door on some of that activity, and we get into more comfortable air midweek. Chris.
All right, thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
Now, up next, we are going to take you to the final part of Theodore Tugboat's journey to Ontario. Thousands of Muslim pilgrims are in Mecca as part of this year's Hajj, vaccinated, wearing masks, and maintaining a physical distance. Now, this is the second year of a dramatically scaled back Islamic pilgrimage. Only 60,000 vaccinated Saudi citizens and residents have been allowed this year. Compare that to pre-pandemic levels of about 2.5 million worshippers. Saudi Arabia has barred visitors from abroad during the global pandemic. So far, the kingdom has reported just over 500,000 COVID-19 cases with more than 8,000 deaths. Plenty of records will likely be set and broken at Tokyo 2020, but not the one that this Ukrainian man holds. The world's oldest tennis player, certified by the Guinness Record folks, 97 years old, introduced to the game at the age of 30, has played ever since. Trains 3 times a week, but that's not the only part of his fitness routine. He starts every morning with gymnastics, push-ups, pull-ups, and although he does acknowledge there are some power naps in those days too. The Eastern Ukrainian man's training for a Super Seniors World Championship in October. He still has other goals for himself as well, including living to 100, taking on Roger Federer. It's been a long journey for an iconic tugboat. Theodore Tugboat has finally docked in Hamilton after leaving Nova Scotia on June 10th. He was the headline character of a CBC children's show from 1993 to 2001. The show aired in 80 countries around the world. Theodore had spent the last 20 years in Halifax. The 5-week voyage even got Theodore a police escort on his way to his new city. And that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. The Rick Mercer Report is up next. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.